everyone. I'm A. Nirisha, Assistant Professor in the Department of CSIT working in MLR Institution of Technology. Today we are going to learn about 2D arrays in C. So coming to the overview, we are going to learn about what is a 2D array and also the examples of this 2D array. So coming to the 2D array, it is also known as two-dimensional array. An array is a collection of similar data type elements that are stored in continuous memory allocations with a single name. So the types of arrays are 1D array and 2D array. The 1D array we have already discussed in the last lecture. So now we are going to discuss about the 2D arrays. So coming to the 1D array, the data is stored in a linear form, which is the data are stored in a row of the values, and in this two-dimensional array it is used to store the data in the form of a tabular form, which is in the rows and columns. So the matrix problems, the problems related to the matrix we can solve by using this 2D array. And also if you want to store some the student marks of different subjects, that also can be done by using this 2D arrays. The rows we are taking it as the row index, we are taking it as a subject names, and the column index we are taking it as a each student in a class. So 2D array is used to store multiple student marks in multiple subjects. An array of array is nothing but a multi-dimensional array. 2D is a part of a multi-dimensional array, which means the multiple arrays, multiple 1D arrays together we are calling it as a 2D array. So an array of array is a multi-dimensional array, and in that the two-dimensional array is also a multi-dimensional array. So the declaration of the two-dimensional array. This is the following syntax that we use to declare the 2D array. That is the data type, array name, row size and column size. Here we are using two subscripts. In 1D we are using only one subscript, and in the two-dimensional we are using two subscripts. One is the row size, another one is the column size. The row size will mention about how many rows you have, and the column will mention about how many columns we have. So for example, int matrix 2, 3, which means in a matrix we have 2 number of rows and 3 number of columns, which means for suppose the matrix 2 number of rows, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This belongs to the first row and this belongs to the second row. So this 2 rows will come under the row size, and the columns we have 1, 2, 3 columns. So the column will come under this, the 3 will come under the column size. The above declaration is of two-dimensional array. It is of 6 continuation memory locations of 2 bytes each in the form of 2 rows and 3 columns. We have 2 rows and 3 columns. So the total max number of elements is 6 number of elements we can store in this matrix arrays. The first 3 elements belongs to the first row and the second 3 elements belongs to the second row. And initialization of a 2D array. So we use this syntax for this initialization of 2D arrays, that is data type, array name, row size, column size, and in the first brackets, flag brackets, we are going to give the row 1 values, and in the second flag brackets we are going to give the row 2 values, and so on. All these row 1 and row 2 values are enclosed in the open flag brackets. So for example, see here we have an example. Data type is int and the name of the array is matrix. The row size is 2, the column size is 3, and whatever the values we have given in the first flag brackets will come under the row 1, and the second values will come under the row 2. The first row is initialized with 1, 2, 3, and the second row is initialized with the 4, 5, 6. So the following initializations is also possible, that is like example int data type, for example, int is my data type, a matrix is my array name, and the next 2 is the row size and 3 is the column size, and here 1, 2, 3 belongs to the first row and 4, 5, 6 belongs to the second row. Here we did not mention any inside flag brackets, inner flag brackets. So in that way, this way is also possible. And next one is int matrix, 2 is row size, 3 is column size, and here we have given only some 4 elements instead of 6. So the remaining elements will be initialized with the zeros. And coming to the next one, int matrix 2 by 2, which means 2 by 2 matrix, 2 rows and 2 columns. Here we have given the values of all the matrix values as by 0, which means all the elements will be initialized with a 0. All the 4 values will be initialized with the zeros in this 2 by 2 matrix if you have given in such a way. Next is accessing the individual elements of the 2D arrays. So how to access those individual elements? In a C programming language, to access the two-dimensional array, we use the array name followed by the row index and the column index value of the elements, and that values are given inside the square braces. So we use the general syntax, that is see the array name, row index values and column index values. In any array, the index is starting from the 0. The row index is also starting from the 0 and the column index is also starting from the 0. So instead of counting from first row, second row in the array, we are counting from the 0th row, first row, second row and so on. So for example, int is the data type, matrix is the name of the array, and 3 is the 3 rows, row size, and 4 is the 4 number of columns that we have, and these are the elements that we have in this matrix. So first 4 elements belongs to the first row, second 4 elements belongs to the second row, and the last 4 elements belongs to the third row. So take an example, take this figure. So here we have row 0, row 1, row 2, column 0, column 1 and column 2. As we discussed, the index, rows and column index starts from the 0. The first row element can be accessed with 0th row and 0th column. So the next element in the row 1 can be accessed by using 0th row and first column, and the next element can be accessed in the row by using 0 and column number as 2, 0 and 2. And if we have the further next column, so that can be accessed by using 0, 3. So 0 is nothing but the row index and column is 3 is nothing but the column index. So we can get the value of that particular, we can get the value of that element by using this row index and the column index. So and this row 1 and column 1. So which means the second row, first column can be accessed by using the 1 and 0. So which means first row and 0th column. As we discussed, the index starts from 0. So the counting starts from 0. So the second row will be obviously the first one, and 1, 1, and the next index can be accessed by 1, 2. And the next row is third row, that can be accessed by 2, 0, which means second row and 0th column, and next is 2, 1, and next one is 2, 2. As we given the example here, the values are placed over in this matrix. So the first value, 0th in 0 index and the 0th row and 0th column, we have the element as 1, and the 0 index and first column we have the element as 2, and in the 0 index and second column we have element as 3. As we have given here, the first row elements are 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will come under the first row, and 5, 6, 7, 8, the elements 5, 6, 7, 8 will come under the next row, and the next 4 elements, that is 9, 10, 11, 12, that will come under the third row. So we are accessing these particular elements by using its index value. So to get the 6th element, to print the 6th element, we are using the index values of rows and columns, that is 1, 1, we can get the 6th element. The particular element, if you want to print or if you want to do anything, any operation, so at that time we can access those elements by using the row index and the column index. So one of the example program, a 2D array to read and print the 2D elements. So here just we are reading the elements and we are printing the elements. So how to print the matrix elements and how to read the matrix elements. So here we are taking inside the main function, here we are declaring the 2D array, that is my array name is A and the row size is 10 and the column size is 10, and some more variables we are taking, that is R, C, I and J. R is for rows, C is for columns, and I, J we are using in the 2 for loops. And coming to the printf statement, we are asking to enter the rows and columns, and by using scanf statements we are reading the rows and columns. So we already have the size of rows and columns here, then why we are taking R and C again here? So for example, I have a requirement of 2 rows and 3 columns. So some other people will have the requirement of 3 rows and 4 columns. Some other will have the requirement of 5 rows and 5 columns. So whatever the code we are writing, that should be useful for all the members. So that is the reason why we are giving the maximum number of size and rows and column here, and next we are reading the rows and columns of that particular individual. And next we are asking to enter the matrix elements, and next by using these 2 for loops we are reading the matrix elements. One is for rows and other one is for the columns. The first element will be read and where it will be stored in the values of address of A and J. So as we declare here A of 10, 10, so 10 rows, 10 columns, the memory will get allocated. So the first 10, so the first 10 elements in a row, the memory will get allocated. Again, next 10 elements, the memory will get allocated. And again, next third row 10 elements, the memory will get allocated. And so on till 10 rows, the memory will get allocated for all 10 rows and 10 columns. So the first element, see here we are taking the I value as 0 and j value as 0 because the index starts from 0. So the row value initially is 0 and index value initially it is 0. So the first value we need to store in the 0th index, so the first value we need to store in the 0th row and 0th column. So whatever the first value we have given, so here we have given the rows and columns as 2 and 2. So we are taking the 2 by 2 matrix and we are entering the matrix elements as 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first value 1 will be read by using this scanf statement and it will be stored in the address of I and j. Here the I value initially j value is equals to 0. So in the 0th comma 0 index, so this is the 0th row and this is the 0th column. So in the 0th row and 0th column, the first value will be stored. And the second value, that is 2, that will be stored in next j value. Initially I will be equals to 0 and j will be equals to 0. And next j value will get incremented. J will be equals to 1 and 1 less than 2. C value is 2. So the condition is true. So if it is true, then the next value will be read and where it will be stored in the 0th row and first column. So since we have I and j values here, so I value is 0 and j value is 1. So in the 0 and first column, the second value will be stored. And next j will be incremented, j will be equals to 2. So 2 less than 2, the condition is false. So we are coming out of this inner for loop and next I value will get incremented, I will be equals to 1. And next now the j, if I is equals to 1 and 1 less than 2, condition is true. And next if this condition is true, then we are checking for the inner for loop condition. Now j is equals to 0 and 0 less than 2, yes, the condition is true. So if it is true, the next value will be read in address of a and j. A value is 1, which means the first row, and j value is 0, which means the 0th column. So the third value, next is third value, that will be read in first row and 0th column. And next j value incrementing, so j value will get incremented to 1. So j will be equals to 1. So the next value, that is 4, that 4 will be read and it will be stored in the address of a and j. I is 1 and j is the 1. So in the first row and first column, the 4 value will be stored. And next j will be equals to 2 and here the condition is 2 less than 2, the condition will be false and we are coming out of the inner for loop. And next I value will be equals to 2, 2 less than 2, here r is 2 and c is 2. Rows are 2 and columns are 2. So we are working with 2 by 2 matrix. So we have given the rows and columns as 2 and 2. So here the r value is 2. So I value is 2. So 2 less than 2, the condition is false. So the outer for loop is also false and we are getting out of this for loops. And in this way, the values are read and stored in its allocated memory. So the first will be stored in 0th index and 0th column and the second value will be stored in 0th index and first column and the third value will be stored in first row and 0th column and the fourth value will be stored in first row and a first column. So in the same way, how we have read, in the same way we are going to print these elements by using its row values and by using its column values. So here by using this printf, we are asking the given matrix elements are, and see here we are using inner for loop and also outer for loop. Inner for loop is for columns and outer for loop is for the rows. So by using this printf statement, we are printing a of ij. So initially I value is equals to 0 and the j value is equals to 0. So a of 0th index and 0th row index and 0th column index, the value is 1. So the 1 will be printed. And next j increment. So j value will be equals to 1. So I value is 0 and column value is j value is 1. So the element representing that 0th row index and first column index is 2. So the 2 will be printed. And next the j value will be 2 and here the condition will be false. And the next line is we have this printf /n. So the cursor will come to the next line over here, the next line. And next the I value will be incremented to 1. So 1 less than 2, condition is true. And j is equals to, again the loop is getting repeated. So j is equals to 0, yes. So we are printing the I value is 1 and j 0. So first index, row index and 0th, first row index and 0th column index, that is the 3. So the 3 value get printed and first row index value and first row column value, then the 4 value will get printed over here. So in this way we are reading that 2 by 2 elements and we are printing those 2 by 2 elements in the matrix form. So by using its index values and by using two for loops, we are reading and printing those matrix elements. So one more example, that is example program for sum of each row in a matrix. For suppose we want to find the sum of each row in a matrix. So at that time, same again, whatever the thing that we have taken, that is array, 2D array, we are declaring rows, columns, ij, and one of the variable, that is the sum we are declaring. So next we are asking to enter rows and columns, we are reading that rows and columns, and by using this printf statement we are asking matrix elements, and by using this for loop, as we discussed in the previous program, we have read that all the array elements. And here we are taking the rows and columns as 3 and 4, rows as 3 and column size as the 4. So total 12 elements we are going to enter here. So these are the 12 elements that we have entered and that we have read by using this statements, by using two for loops and also by using its index values. So now we want to find the now we want to find the sum of each row. So the first we have given here rows are 3 and columns are 4. So the first 4 elements will belongs to the first row, and next 4 elements will belongs to the second row, and next 4 elements will be belongs to the third row. So we need to find the sum of each of this row in the matrix. So the sum of first row. So to access these elements, so there's sum we need to find. So to find this sum, what we require the index values of this values. So these elements index values we require. So the first element, the one value index value is 0, 0, and next two element index value is 0, 2, and next third element index value is the first element is index value is 0, 1. The first element index value is 0, 0. The second element index value is 0, 1, and the next element index value is 0, 2, and next element index value is 0, 3. So we want the elements that are present in this index values. So to get that elements that are present in this index values, we are using the index values and we are finding the sum. So here for that we are using the row index and the column index. So that is the reason why we are taking the two for loops again. One is for rows and other one is for columns. So initially we are taking sum is equals to 0. So I is equals to 0 and j is equals to 0. So and also here sum is equals to 0 we have. So next sum is equals to sum plus a of I and j. So sum is equals to initially sum value is 0 and ij value is 0 and 0. So 0, in 0, 0 index we have the value, in 0, 0 index we have the value of 1. So 0 plus 1 is equals to 1. And next here the j value will get incremented, j will be equals to 1. So now again the condition, check the condition here, 0 less than c value is 4. So now j incremented 1. So 1 less than 4, the condition is true. So if it is true, now j is 1 and I is 0. So again sum is equals to previous sum we have it as 1 and plus a of ij. I value is 0 and j value is 1. So in the 0, 1 index we have the second element, so 2. So 1 plus 2 will be is equals to 3. And next j increment, j will be equals to 2. So sum is equals to sum plus previous sum we have got it as 3 and a of ij, that is 0, 2. In 0, 2 we have the value as 3. So the sum will be equals to 6. And now j is equals to 3. So sum is equals to previous sum is 6 plus a of ij. So I is 0 and j is 3. So in 0, third index we have the element of 4. So 6 plus 4 will be is equals to 10. And now j will be equals to 4 and 4 less than 4, the condition is false and we are coming out of this inner for loop. And by using this printf statement we are printing that the elements present in the sum of elements of the first row. So the sum of first row is equals to the I plus 1 value will be reflected in this format specifier and the sum value will be reflected in this format specifier. So here the I value is equals to 0. So 0 plus 1 will be is equals to 1. So we are counting from the number 1. So we are taking it as first row, second row. There is counting from the 0. So it is taking, so the index we are counting from 0, 1 and so on. And the sum we have got it as 10. So the 10 value will be reflected in the second control string place. So the sum of row 1 is equals to 10. In the same way again I value will be incremented. Now j will be equals to 0. So now the first index first row and 0th column, and the next first row and first column, and next first row and second column, and next first row and third column. So these index value elements we are taking and we are finding the sum. So we are going to get the sum of row 2 is equals to 26, and next I will be equals to, next I will be is equals to 2, and j will be equals to 0. So now next the values that are present in the index values of 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. So these elements we are taking. So those elements are 9, 43, 12 and 7. So we are adding those elements and we are getting the sum as 71. So in the same way, how we are solving the matrix related problems, in the same way we can also store the student marks in different subjects, different student, multiple subject marks and marks of multiple students. So the rows, for suppose we are taking the array name as marks and the rows as 5, which means 5 subjects, and the 30 has column size as 30, which means the 30 students. So 5 subject marks of 30 students, 5 different subject marks of 30 different students we can store in this 2D arrays. Thank you.